So I'm going to do a quick breakdown of how I created this image right here using Blender and Photoshop. So I was very inspired by Beeple, who does these everydays, and they're just a finished piece of digital art that he produces every day, and it takes him around 2 hours, I think, and this piece took me around 4. So, you know, first try, it's going to be much longer than Beeple himself, but I thought what I made was pretty good. So I was very inspired by Beeple because he plays with scale a lot. As you can see here, you know, massive animal, and then, you know, you have a human for reference. You know, here just a massive, another reference. So I was like, what if I did something with a giant animal, which he does a lot, and then some people somewhere. And so I was thinking, and I just randomly came up with a turtle in a forest. This is the 3D scene I ended up creating. It's really janky from the outside, but when you go into the camera view, it looks regular. So I'm using Blender. Blender is great, it's free. I highly recommend Blender to anyone who wants to start in 3D art. It's free, and I think it's just one of the best 3D softwares out there. They all kind of do the same thing, but Blender does it really well. And so on this piece of art, here you can see what it looks like in rendered view. Yeah, so, you know, the sky's missing. I added that in Photoshop. You know, I did some quick color grading. It looks a little different, but I started with a ground plane, this big one, and then I realized, hey, I should probably have some more texture in my ground. So I created, this is actually a great add-on. So you can create, if it's under mesh and then landscape, you can create these really nice procedurally generated landscapes, and there's like a ton of tools and presets. You know, you can really do a lot here. Yeah, so I just chose, I forgot honestly what I chose, but I think it was large terrain. Yeah, and then that gave me kind of the look I was going for. I increased the size a little bit, but that's about it. And then once you have that, I wanted to add in my turtle. So I looked, this is honestly the worst part about making 3D art. There's a couple of websites I use. I like CG Trader, Turbo Squid. Sketchfab's really good because you can see the model in a 3D window. I think I started with tortoise, but I couldn't find any, so I looked for a turtle. And I found this one and this one, and I ended up using this one. This one was just like a baby turtle, I think. And it looks really nice once, yeah, the textures load in. It looks great. And also they allow you to download it in a .blend format, which is great with Blender. Although the textures weren't attached, it's really easy to just, you know, put them on there. Once I had that in there, I sort of scaled it up and found the composition I was looking for. I use Shift tilde, I think that's what it's called, a lot, and you can sort of go like third person mode and sort of walk around like a video game. It's really easy to find composition. Okay, so after that, I was like, oh, I should probably add in the forest elements. So I started with giving this ground plane some texture. Yeah, so it just has like a simple rock texture. So I went on Polyhaven and I looked through textures, and Polyhaven's great because it's sort of mostly natural materials. And I think I chose this one. And then you download it, and it gives you all the textures you need. And I put that in, plugged in the normal, plugged in the specular, the roughness. So yeah, I wanted puddles at some point, and so all I did was in the shader editor, I just mixed two, and then for the factor, I just had a noise texture with a color ramp, making sure there were harsh lines. And I don't really like the blue, but it looks fine from the camera. I don't know, you can barely notice, but it adds some difference. And then for the plants, I got pretty lucky. I found a great set of nice looking plants. So I downloaded all these ferns, this, and then I put some of them into a particle system, which made it really easy to just scatter them throughout the plane. I think I didn't like how this spot had too much plants, so I went into weight paint mode and I painted out the middle here so that there were less plants. I don't know, it's small stuff. So I had all these plants and then I wanted trees, so I ended up just like taking a cylinder, like adding in a cylinder and then, you know, scaling it and then putting a bark texture on it. And so that's what these guys look like. I just found a bark texture and then made sure it like lined up right so that it was going up and down. It looks a little weird because it's tiling a lot since this is such a massive tree, but I kind of like how it looks. And then it was looking really unrealistic, so I took some of the plants without the stems or whatever they're called, and I just like flipped them upside down and then put them on here, and I just like duplicated that a ton of times until it started looking how I wanted it. I think the main thing about making this stuff look good is just like, instead of just stopping at a point where like, I'm not sure how I can keep going, like you have a vision, so you just keep adding to it and messing with the composition until you like it. So I had this turtle, I rigged it up so the face was turning this way, I think in its like regular position. Yeah, the head's turned this way a little bit. And then these people, honestly I should have gotten people from Mixamo, because that would have been easier, but I think I got them from, yeah, I got the people from Render People, and there's like this free pack, and this one, and it was just like, those were the people, like the 3 people here, those are the 3 people here, and it just looks fine because they're far away, and like, it doesn't matter that they're wearing suits and formal clothing, it's fine. So for lighting, what I did was I just had, I really like this sky texture. Yeah, the sky texture, which is like built into Blender. This one, that's the setting you want to have it on, pretty sure. And it's just really nice because it adds this, you can't see it right now, but if I go here and then turn off transparent, you can see it creates this like nice gradient, which is good for fill lighting. And then it also automatically adds a sun. You can't see it, it's just built into the HDRI. And then I wanted this like dappled lighting effect on the turtle and the people and the trees, and so I was like, why don't I just add 2 planes? Well, I sort of started with a bunch of ideas, but it ended up being 2 planes with a noise texture influencing the transparency. And so that's how I got the dappled lighting effect. What else? Oh, I put some plants on the turtle to make it look like part of the environment. So yeah, I rendered this out as this and the mist pass, which is super useful. If you go over to here, passes, definitely check this off. Also check off the denoising data, because Blender has a built-in denoiser. It's great, it works fine. I actually intentionally lowered the samples in my scene so that the denoiser could maybe make like a more painterly look. Didn't really work, but that's what I was going for. So yeah, for the denoise, just plug that into there, and then when you render it out, you'll get this window, and then you can save the color image, and then you can also save the depth pass, which is really very useful. Yeah, here, depth, mist, so that's what it's called, mist pass. It's very useful because you can add it in, you can put it in Photoshop later and add this, like, it helps with the depth, trust me. Combined, okay, perfect. And then once you have all those, you go into Photoshop. This is what it looks like without any effects. Okay, why is it not showing? Okay, so this is what it looks like without any effects. And then you add on a sky was my first step. Actually, what was it? Yeah. And then I was like, oh, this kind of like chops off like right at the horizon, so I needed to add some sort of hills. If you can see, that's just like an image I got off textures.com. The color, the sky was just a Google search for skies, and then I found one I like. I had these, which I didn't use. This is a weird one. I'm not sure what that is. This is a UV pass. I thought it'd be cool to add those in, but I never actually did. So this is what it looks like without any grading or anything. Then I add in a mist, which just like, I mean, it makes it much better because you can like see further. Oh, also I forgot to mention I added bokeh to the plants. It just, and I thought it looked good. Mist, oh no, mist edited was the one. And mist edited, I just went in and what I did was, the face was too foggy here, and so were the people, and I just made them more clear. And then some levels, I don't know how this stuff works, but it makes it look good. And then a vignette. And then the whole thing was done. Yeah, took me around 4 hours to get everything. I'd say the worst part was just finding models, because like that's just a pain to find models that look realistic and are free, although you could pay. I don't know, your decision. Anyways, yeah, thanks for watching.